Recce Pharmaceuticals has announced it has received a grant from the US Department of Defense for its R327 acute burn treatment drug. Joining me now is Recce Pharmaceuticals CEO James Graham and Non-Executive Director Dr. Alan Dunton. James, Alan, welcome.
Thank you, Mitchell. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
What can you tell us about this update?
Well, it's a very exciting update, and the news comes from the United States, and I think I was asked to give this interview because I could translate for the Australian market, but it's really exciting because Recce has been selected by the United States Department of Defense for a grant to study R327 in infected burn wounds. As you can imagine, burn wounds are very high risk and occur all too frequently in war front and in the soldiers in the war place. So they're very excited about this, given its broad ability to kill almost any bacteria that's out there, if in fact all bacteria and other type of nasties that can get in the wound. And burn patients are just so difficult to treat, so there's a crying need out there.
Yes, most certainly. This is a significant opportunity with the United States Department of Defense, in particular the Department of Army. The burn wound population among the troops is a significant patient population, and their expedited consideration of our compound for those troops, supported by a significant cash grant, a non-dilutionary cash grant, puts Recce in a position of success.
And so why apply for this grant?
There are a few reasons to apply for it. As James mentioned, we do get support, and the support is significant. But also we get access to the United States Army's facilities, especially those that they have, for example, in Fort Sam Houston, which is in Texas, where they have all their significant burn patients hospitalized. So they do many clinical trials there, and that will be put to us as well as a potential site to do human clinical trials with R327.
Yeah, look, this is built upon clinical success here in Perth, Western Australia. We've identified our compound to be safe, and we've identified it to be efficacious with the work of Professor Fiona Wood and Dr. Ed Raby at Fiona Stanley Hospital to treat a broad spectrum range of bacterial infections. What that could mean for the US Department of Defense is significant, and to be financially incentivized to be part of that is even better.
And what will this grant be used for?
So the funds will be used for initially doing some animal studies. For example, there's a very predictive model that's done in pigs and in hogs, where they're induced to have a burn wound, and then various doses of R327 are studied, as well as a placebo typically, to evaluate the effectiveness when those wounds are infected. But then we will probably move on under this grant into clinical trials to explore efficacy and safety in humans.
Yes, look, it's really a gateway to the US troop, both in the front line, as I understand it, but also behind the scenes in these major teaching hospitals. To start in the animal species, to demonstrate our compound's efficacy and, of course, safety, applies the ability to then launch another grant, a larger grant opportunity to expand into the human population. So it's really a pivotal time and just one component of our many moving parts with the United States Department of Defense.
And could this start any future opportunities within the government sector?
Absolutely. And when I saw the response from the Department of Defense today, I was really happy to see they recognize the quality of the work. In fact, their scoring of our application was extremely high, and they even commented on that quality, the positive quality of work in the application. And they might have hinted that, well, maybe you need a little more going forward as well. So they're really excited about the technology.
Yeah, look, I was positively enthused by the quantum of funding and support that they themselves were suggestive to provide to us. That amount will be actively pursued, but nevertheless, the amount provided initially is more than suitable for our purposes.
What interest would the US Department of Defense have in R327?
Well, beyond burn, there are so many interests that it could have because they also get involved with treating the families of the warfighters, and that also segues into the veterans affairs as well. And there are many problems in those populations, including things like diabetic foot ulcer infections. But back to the warfighter, what they're also keenly interested in is the warfighter gets involved and can get infected in bugs that you just don't necessarily see in the United States or here in Australia. More exotic bugs I should say bacteria, but that are highly resistant to the antibiotics we have today. We've shown that we have very positive activity in what's called escape pathogens. These are the real nasties. And so I'm sure they're excited about that as well.
Yeah, look, most certainly from the frontline warfighter to the countermeasures side of things, such as threats from anthrax attack and many others that they actively consider. The one I get particularly excited about is the potential civilian procurement for a superbug outbreak. Constantly there's these bacteria evolving. They always have, they always will. And at one point, the antibiotics will no longer work. So the potential for the US government to take significant civilian procurement as a preventative measure to tackle these new threats is an opportunity we'd keenly investigate.
James Graham, Dr. Alan Dunton, thank you so much for your time. We look forward to your next update.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Many thanks.